Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm currently sitting in the all-new 5th generation 2024 Ford Ranger. I'm going to fire it right up with the push-button start. Built Ford Tough appears on the screen. Let's put it into drive, and then let's go to our mode select and have some fun. Maybe put it into sport mode. Yeah, let's do that. And then let's turn off advanced traction control, and we're going to have a fun time in this all-new Ranger. So this will just be maybe a 10-minute long driving review of it. I just finished doing my full review of it, but it was a really windy day, so I wanted to do one more video to show you guys more of how it drives. And after driving it quite a few miles already, let me just say that when you are in sport mode, it's basically like the transmission is downshifting more often and you're staying in the lower gear, and it's really putting a lot of power down. But it handles like a mid-sized truck. Gets right up to speed with about half throttle. This 2.3 liter single turbo EcoBoost engine, it does make pretty good power, about 270 horse at 5,000 RPM and about 310 foot-pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. So even giving it full throttle right now at 47 miles an hour, it gets up to speed fairly well. We are at almost 4,000 feet of altitude, so vehicles just don't make full power up here, even if they're turboed. But I do want to mention, this is about the driving characteristics. So visibility is actually really good. I do wish we had a handle up there or on the A-pillar to grab, because this is a truck after all. But, you know, the B is a little bit wider, the C is very wide, but that's what the mirrors are for. I've honestly driven so many performance cars like Corvettes and a Chevy SS and just performance stuff recently that I forgot what big giant side mirrors almost felt like. But overall, the driving feel, the driving seat is really good in many ways. You have incredible forward-facing visibility because the hood really slopes down and the dashboard feels super duper low. But the problem with that is a lot of the rest of this is all low. So just sitting here, it's hard to get to some of these dials. They're also very small and, you know, not really, they could be so much bigger. This is the 12-inch screen. It does come with the B&O speakers on this Lariat configuration. But why are these all so small? Why are the heated seat options and the steering wheel only these tiny little buttons that you have to take your eyes off of the road to get down to there, and you can barely see it with how far down it is on this completely vertical screen? So I really don't think Ford did a very good job in some of that design. A little bit of wheel spin, but in a lot of areas, Ford has done really well with this new Ranger. It has a fully boxed frame, a really good four-wheel drive system, and honestly, it's just fun to drive. It can get about 450 miles on a tank of gas because it's an 18.8 gallon tank, and this is rated for 21 city, 25 highway. And just driving it around on the country roads, it feels fairly wide. It's about 6.5 feet wide with the mirrors, but it's not overly long for being a mid-sized truck. It's only about 17.5 feet long, which usually full-size trucks are about 19.3 feet unless they have a long bed. Then they can be longer than that, even over 20. But this one at under 18 feet and having a 10.5 foot wheelbase, it feels really good on the road. I'm going about 50 right now. Turning the wheel, there's a lot of floatiness to it. I don't know that it feels like body roll as bad as a full-size truck, but it still feels very floaty. It does seem like the suspension's doing a pretty good job, though, to absorb a lot of that and to not have dashboard flex and like really like ridiculous, you know, turns. But even that turn, 16 miles an hour when I first went into it, this mid-sized truck corners way better than some of the other mid-sized trucks I've driven, and especially full-size trucks if you are comparing this to a big truck. The brakes, let's try those out about half pedal right here. Stops really good. There's just a little bit of nosedive, but not nearly as bad as like a Toyota 4Runner or something like that. And then it gets right up to speed without even having to rev it out very well. Honestly, there's a lot of things I really like about this. A lot of the Ford interior bits and technology in most aspects is pretty good. It seems like their safety system has gotten a lot better in recent configurations. Their heated seats, I'm actually burning up right now. It's 52 degrees outside and up to about 40 mile/hour gusts outside. So just driving around, the acoustic glass is absorbing a lot of the noise, and I'm not really hearing much protrude into the actual cabin. The seats are not like aggressive bolstering. It's not a performance car, but they do hold you in pretty good. for any corners that you really should be taking or shouldn't be taking in a truck. But a lot of wheel spin because this makes peak torque so low in the RPM band. But the 10 speed, it feels solid, it feels really suited, and hopefully Ford Performance offers their 45 horsepower tune on this 5th generation Ranger like they did on the last generation. Which I think Ford is trying to get their sales numbers back, because the Ranger used to sell a couple 100,000 a year in the earlier generations, but the 4th generation really hasn't been that popular. And I think with them offering the Raptor version with the 3-liter twin turbo and pretty soon the 2.7-liter twin turbo EcoBoost, I think the mid-sized truck game is really getting spicy right now. It's getting a lot of competition, and I'm all for it because I think the competition is making better vehicles overall. But this one, this Lariat, it starts about $43,000. The way this one's configured with all these fancy bits that you see around, after destination, it's almost $50,000. So mid-sized truck pricing really has gotten pretty expensive, because 50 grand used to be loaded out like LTZ Silverado level of truck, or like a Lariat F-150. But for the Ranger, you know, it is a nice drive. It is a nice vehicle. I do feel like I sit really high up for being only about 6.1 feet from the bottom of the tire to the top of the roof. And look, there's like a Silverado with a flatbed right there, and that thing looks smaller than I am. This does have 9.3 inches of ground clearance, a 373 final drive ratio, and a 5-foot bed. And overall, it's a pretty good truck. It's a pretty good option for a lot of people who don't need a full-size truck, but maybe want more capability than like a Ford Maverick or a Hyundai Santa Cruz. So honestly, not too bad. The speakers, the B&O, actually do sound really well. Paired with the acoustic glass, I'm not sure what more of the sound quality comes from and is attributed to, but the combination, Ford has done a good job. The horn is even really loud on this one. It sounds like it came from a Super Duty. And there's enough storage throughout that you can have a pretty good time. The door panels even have full size, even though they're not super wide, you still have the full length that you can hide a lot of snacks on, maybe some Slim Jim, some cheese sticks, whatever else you got going for you in the Ford Ranger. But overall, I think it's a good vehicle. I don't really have any reason to not recommend it. I'm sure you guys want to see a 0 to 60, so let me get to the private road and show you what that is. 0 to 60 in sport mode. Traction control was turned off before 4 high came on, but we're going to do a brake rev, and it seems to be the fastest this way in my elements. Keep in mind the density altitude's almost 4,000 feet, so it is down on power, probably 5 or 6%. Let's see what it can do. First gear pulls hard for a truck. And true 0 to 60 on that one came in exactly the same as what I've tested before, 7.06. Not bad for the true time. And a 7-second flat or a high 6 without rollout is not bad for a mid-sized truck with a 4-cylinder, guys. Keep that perspective. I've driven, you know, some other 4-cylinder turbo cars like a Civic Type R, a Subaru STI. Some of that type of stuff really doesn't do a whole lot faster than this mid-sized pickup truck with a reliable 2.3-liter engine. You know, these can tow 55 to 7,500 pounds. This one specifically has a payload capacity of over 1,500 pounds, and it has a Goodyear Wrangler 255, 65, 18. So really, you're getting a lot of stuff with the Ranger. I just personally wish that trucks and vehicles of all variety did not cost what they cost these days. I think the manufacturers are asking too much, but for the value compared to, you know, what the Ranger used to be, it's a much more luxurious ride, and I don't really have any reason to not recommend it. I do always suggest that you test drive the competition, so check out the Tacoma, the Frontier, which the Frontier is now the last naturally aspirated V6 truck you can buy. Everything else is turbocharged or even hybrid with the Tacoma iForce Max. But overall, it's a really nice vehicle, and I'm having a good time. I'm held in place. The backpack approves. So if you are happy that the backpack's happy, like this video, comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll link the dealership to this one in the description below. Goody Ford is a fantastic dealership if you're in the area or you want to do a little bit of a day trip. So I highly recommend them. Otherwise, the Ranger is a pretty good truck. Definitely go test drive one for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I'm just some random person who a couple times a week makes YouTube videos for you guys. And until next time, I wish you guys the best. I hope you take care. See ya.